On Ctv3 News, Orange Walk Mason charged with burglary after break-in at an Orange Walk store. Victor Gutierrez charged with escape. Belize launches ambitious NDC 3.0 to boost climate resilience and achieve a 75% renewable energy by 2030. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for August 5th, 2025.
World shifts to regional supply chains, Belize is poised to lead. This is where blue innovation meets green ambition, and orange creativity thrives. Join us for the Belize Investment Summit 2025, September 3rd to 5th at the Sunset Caribe in San Pedro. From agribusiness to aquaculture, from renewable energy to digital services, from tourism to trade, this is the future of regional integration, and it starts here. Whether you're returning home, expanding regionally, or entering new markets, Belize welcomes you. Why Belize? Why now? Belize Investment Summit 2025, Bridging Markets, Building Resilience, September 3rd to 5th at Sunset Caribe, San Pedro. Visit investmentsummit.bz to register and be part of shaping the investment frontier.
Josetón presenta Los Cumbia Kings.
Mi dulce niña, tú me fascinas.
Los Cumbia Kings en concierto.
Sabes a chocolate.
Este 30 de agosto en el Estadio del Pueblo, Orange World Belice. Los Cumbia Kings en vivo.
No tengo dinero ni nada que dar.
No te pierdas el concierto del año que te hará bailar como nunca. General 150, VIP 200 y Platino $350. Boletos a la venta en la aplicación Quipass, disponible en Android y iPhone. También con Mechas, gracias al patrocinio de
BTV, Mechas,
La aplicación Express Plus,
Cuellos,
Instituto Nacional de Cultura e Historia,
Lock and Loaded, Mark Production, Quick Pass, Lighthouse.
Good evening. With your newscast, also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7, I am Jaden Gamis. A 29-year-old Osvaldo Osaguayo, Belizean Mason residing in Carmelita Village, Orange Walk, has been charged for burglary after he broke into a comic store located on Main Street here in Orange Walk. As mentioned last night, authorities responded to a break-in at around 12:06 a.m. on August 4th. According to police reports, officers on duty at the customs office located about 20 feet away from the store heard the sound of breaking glass. Upon investigating, officers observed a male individual of Hispanic descent without a shirt and wearing long pants entering the store through a shattered window on the building's second floor. The police quickly cordoned off the area. As the suspect emerged from the broken window, he lost footing and fell face first to the ground. The fall resulted in a deep cut near his left eye, an abrasion on the right side of his face, and caused him to lose consciousness temporarily. After regaining consciousness, Osaguayo attempted to flee but was swiftly detained by officers and transported to the Northern Regional Hospital for medical treatment. Osaguayo is expected to appear in court sometime this week. 39-year-old Victor Gutierrez, a Belizean laborer of Cristock Street, Orange Walk, who escaped from Orange Walk police custody on the morning of Thursday, July 31st, has been charged for escape. Gutierrez, as previously reported, leapt from a police transport vehicle near the Crooked Tree Junction while being taken to Central Prison. Police moved quickly and organized a manhunt and set in place several checkpoints. By nightfall on the same Thursday, July 31st, Gutierrez was recaptured near Carmelita Village. He now faces charges of grievous harm, use of deadly means of harm, and escape. Earlier this week, the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Climate Change and Solid Waste Management through the National Climate Change Office officially launched Belize's Nationally Determined Contribution 3.0. The launch represents a major milestone in the country's journey towards climate resilience. Belize's NDC 3.0 outlines a comprehensive set of national climate goals aimed at guiding the country toward a more sustainable and climate-resilient future. Key components include a target to increase greenhouse gas removals from the agriculture, forestry, and other land use sector by 63%, as well as a bold commitment to achieve a 75% renewable energy in electricity generation by the year 2030. The updated contribution also prioritizes resilience building across critical sectors such as land use, agriculture, energy, waste management, and coastal adaptation. It further emphasizes the importance of broadening stakeholder engagement, developing detailed implementation plans, and establishing strong financial strategies and monitoring mechanisms. Importantly, NDC 3.0 maintains a dual focus on both climate change mitigation and adaptation. Speaking to the media today, Minister of Sustainable Development Honorable Orlando Habet emphasized the country's commitment towards moving beyond commitments on paper and more towards operationalizing these commitments.
That is very important for Belize because it is our commitment to climate action. Every time we have an NDC, which is every 5 years, the global community asks for more ambitious NDCs, which means to say that we have to conserve or we have to work on climate action that is more than what we did in the previous one. This one is a little bit more than the 2021 NDC, but the implementation is always the challenge. So I was telling my team that whilst there was a gap for NDC 2.0, there might be a larger gap for NDC 3.0. But I think with the collaboration of the various sectors, the different ministries, especially energy, which is one of our biggest emitters, and transport, which is the next biggest emitter, we have to see how we can do the work for mitigation on that side, but also we have to look at also the adaptation side, which is very important for us. We're seeing what's happening with sargassum, affecting not the entire region, but it is affecting Belize. We believe that when the sargassum comes to the shores and you try to harvest it from there, it is already too late. We have to do it before it reaches, because then it already affected the fish. Those fish are folks who have their small craft vessels. It messes up the propellers, and so when it goes to the shore, it also starts to rot, and then you get the smell because of the gases that are produced. So we have to do a consolidated effort to work on those things. Through the NDC also, we also are developing our loss and damage framework. And our loss and damage framework is important because if we are able to claim any type of compensation because of loss and damage, then we have to be able to prove that that damage has occurred, and we can try to see if we can get some funding. So what we are doing now is to look at it from the standpoint of the cost of inaction. What happens if you didn't do anything, right? Yeah. It's like a hurricane. If you didn't do the work before, if you didn't do the immediate post-disaster cleanup and everything else, what would it cost if you just leave it there for the next 2 or 3 years? So we are taking the leadership role in the Caribbean, in the region, for loss and damage at that level. And so I think it is very important for us to recognize that the NDC, while it is our commitment, I think we all have to work together to try to see how we can get the climate financing for the implementation, so it doesn't only become a piece of paper that's a beautiful piece of paper that's lying there.
And while Minister Habet says his ministry admits that the commitments are a bit ambitious, they are also realistic. He pointed specifically to the renewable energy goal, affirming that achieving 75% renewable electricity generation by 2030 is completely attainable for Belize.
It is. Currently we are almost at 50% of the energy that's produced locally. It's a little bit more than 50% of energy that's produced locally is renewable. So if we can get the areas of solar energy being developed a lot more, if we can look at some production of wind energy, maybe even energy that you can get from wave energy, whatever it is, if we can develop those, I think that we will be able to reach 75–80% easily.
Coming up next, Global Breastfeeding Week highlights vital roles of support systems in infant and maternal health. Stay tuned.
Josetún presenta Los Cumbia Kings.
Mi dulce niña, tú me fascinas.
Los Cumbia Kings. Josetún presenta Los Cumbia Kings.
Mi dulce niña, tú me fascinas.
Los Cumbia Kings en concierto.
Sabes a chocolate.
Este 30 de agosto en el Estadio del Pueblo, Orange World Belice. Los Cumbia Kings en vivo.
No tengo dinero ni nada que dar.
No te pierdas pierdas el concierto del año que te hará bailar como nunca. General 150, VIP 200 y Platino $350. Boletos a la venta en la aplicación Quipass, disponible en Android y iPhone. También con Mechas, gracias al patrocinio de
BTV, Mechas,
La aplicación Express Plus.
Cuellos,
Instituto Nacional de Cultura e Historia.
Lock and Loaded, Mark Production, Quick Pass, Lighthouse.
This is where blue innovation meets green ambition and orange creativity thrives. Join us for the Belize Investment Summit 2025, September 3rd to 5th at the Sunset Caribe in San Pedro. This is the future of regional integration, and it starts here. Whether you're returning home, expanding regionally, or entering new markets, Belize welcomes you. Why Belize? Why now? Belize Investment Summit 2025, Bridging Markets, Building Resilience. September 3rd to 5th, Sunset Caribe, San Pedro. Visit investmentsummit.bz to register and be part of shaping the investment frontier.
It is truly a proud and historic moment for us here in San Ignacio. It gives me great joy to welcome you all to the official opening of the very first wooden basketball court in our community.
The cost of the project in completion was about $200,000. Honorable Mala was willing to assist us with this project. This is a huge, huge investment for us.
There can be serious development through sports, especially if the right foundation, having the right facilities are in place. Then the programs follow. We can't put the carriage front of the house by having the programs, but we only have outdoor facilities. Belize rain 6 months out of the year, and having outdoor facilities is just not enough.
Our focus is going to be on education because that's a part of using sports as a vehicle to get as many of our athletes to international schools to play football, basketball, volleyball, track, whatever it is. The other thing is health. 33% of our people are afflicted by diabetes, hypertension, or some ailment like that. And those things can be prevented. So we want to create again the facilities where people can go exercise, have fun.
As communities worldwide observe Breastfeeding Week, observed from August 1st to the 7th, under the theme Prioritize Breastfeeding, Creating Sustainable Support Systems, health experts and organizations are emphasizing the vital importance of breastfeeding for the health and development of infants, as well as for the well-being of the mothers. Held annually, Breastfeeding Week aims to raise awareness about the numerous benefits of exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life, followed by continued breastfeeding alongside complementary foods up to 2 years or beyond. This global campaign encourages governments, healthcare providers, workplaces, and families to support breastfeeding practices and create an environment conducive to maternal and infant health. Here in Belize, the Ministry of Health and Wellness have joined that campaign in hope of increasing breastfeeding.
Belize, at the moment, Belize has an exclusive breastfeeding rate of 33.2%. The mix report 2025 is about to be published, so the data is suggesting that there could be an increase of this breastfeeding rate, so which is a plus for us, right, to the country. That means we have been doing a lot in regards to education on the benefits of breastfeeding. And what we speak here is about the exclusive breastfeeding, breastfeeding from birth to 6 months. which if we do that exclusive breastfeeding, then our babies are more protected than if we give them other options. So that is what we as the Ministry of Health, we always encourage, and our mothers, even our dads, that they promote this exclusive breastfeeding from birth to 6 months.
And this percentage, how does it compare to other countries in the area?
Well, in the Caribbean, I think in Belize is in the high top ranking. So I think this is where we're doing very good.
With breastfeeding providing optimal nutrition tailored to infants' needs, containing essential vitamins, minerals, and antibodies that bolster the immune system, several activities are being held countrywide to promote the nutritional movement, including in Corozal.
I can speak on behalf of HECOPAB, the Health Education and Community Participation Bureau, and the community health workers. They have been already started their campaign on breastfeeding. They're visiting the clinics as we speak, the outpatient areas, and they are educating patients on the benefits of breastfeeding. More towards the second and third week of this month, we will be a lot of sporting activities is happening. For example, in Ranchito, we will be having a sporting activity, and the community health workers will be bringing mothers, parents from the kids who are doing sports, and we will be giving them education on benefits of breastfeeding. And also we will be targeting men. So we are scheduled to be visiting some private entities in this month in business establishments, where we will be targeting men and women on and providing the education on the benefits of breastfeeding. We are also doing training to our staff here at the Corozal Community Hospital, training them on the benefits of breastfeeding, and this goes to clinical and non-clinical staff.
Studies show that breastfed babies are less likely to experience respiratory infections, diarrhea, ear infections, and sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. Additionally, early breastfeeding supports healthy brain development and fosters a strong emotional bond between mother and child. For mothers, breastfeeding offers numerous health benefits, including reduced risk of postpartum depression, lower chances of certain cancers such as breast and ovarian cancer, and faster postpartum weight loss. It also promotes natural uterine contraction, helping the body recover after childbirth. Despite its benefits, many mothers face barriers to successful breastfeeding, including lack of support, workplace challenges, and cultural misconceptions. Experts advocate for increased maternity leave, workplace accommodations, and public education campaigns to normalize and encourage breastfeeding practices. The government of Belize, through the Ministry of Blue Economy and Marine Conservation, in partnership with Brightwater, launched the country's first blue carbon pilot project earlier this week, marking a major step in the development of high-quality blue carbon credits and reinforcing Belize's leadership in nature-based climate solutions. The pilot project, developed under an exclusive agreement between the government and Brightwater, will focus on Turnef Atoll, which is one of the Caribbean's most biologically rich marine ecosystems. The agreement aims to protect and restore vital mangrove and seagrass habitats that store carbon, support marine biodiversity, and safeguard coastal resilience. Speaking on the launch of the project today, Minister of Sustainable Development Honorable Orlando Habet described the launch as a transformative moment for Belize's blue economy, highlighting its potential to generate a real economic value through climate action and ecosystem protection.
That is a project that was through the one, if you're speaking about the one with Brightwater, TASA, yes, this should be some investment as a pilot project to see how we can do that conservation within the marine area, looking at maybe seagrass and mangroves, to see how we can get to obtain some fundings by sales of carbon. So it's going to be a sort of a private project as a pilot to bring in some funding for marine conservation. We think that whilst we already have now an agreement or sort of a cabinet approval for the carbon slash climate change bill, which now has to go to the House for approval, there will be some projects that will be developed independently, both in the marine area and also in the terrestrial area, that we might have to push maybe even before the bill is actually put in place. It has happened before in the terrestrial area especially. We have something that's almost similar with the Blue Bond, so I think it is good for us. We from the ministry are looking at trying to get the bill passed as early as possible so that then various groups, individuals can come up with carbon projects that they can put out for sale and get in some funding. I also think that where we have some opportunities will be in the agriculture sector, and so we are making sure that the bill is framed in such a way that not only large landowners or large companies can come up with carbon projects, but that small people, small farmers can come up with small projects, and so that then we can look at it from that standpoint, because it brings in funding for adaptation and resilience building against climate change.
The initiative brings together technical experts from the Brightwater Collective, including Stantec Inc., JLL, Search LLC, and Climate Wedge, alongside local partner Turnef Atoll Sustainability Association. Chronic kidney disease, CKD, has emerged as a growing public health concern across Belize, impacting communities, straining healthcare resources, and prompting calls for urgent action. Over the past decade, Belize has witnessed a steady increase in CKD cases, particularly among working-age adults and rural populations. The disease, characterized by the gradual loss of kidney function, often goes undetected until its advanced stages, leading to severe health complications and increased mortality rates. That is why prevention is key, says health educator Emir Castañeda.
This has been a significant concern for the country because the study that was done, some studies that was done in around 2018, it showed that we had a prevalence of 13.7 among the population, and the age group was 20 to 55 years. And that called for the country to build capacity and to do a lot of interventions in regards to chronic diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure, which has been the risk factors leading to chronic kidney disease. Recently, we started creating awareness on chronic kidney disease, non-traditional. And this is a new emerging disease in the Central American region, I must say. And this is the risk factors is not diabetes and hypertension anymore, but it has to do with the hard workers, the construction workers, the cane farmers who are under the heat for prolonged time and working hard, and maybe they are dehydrated because they want to earn their living, so they're working long hours and sometimes they don't rest. So these are the factors that if they continue to work like this, it will lead to chronic kidney disease of non-traditional origin. So we're at this moment with this heat, as you mentioned, We're asking these workers, construction workers out there. I know we have a lot of them in the Keys, our working farmers, our fishermen, all these people who are working under heat to please take time to take breaks under the shade, drink a lot of water, stay hydrated, avoid drinking sugary products. All right, because sometimes when we take a break, we want to take something, a sugary product, and that's not the way to go. Try to drink water, exclusively water.
Experts point out to several factors contributing to the rise of CKD in Belize. Environmental and occupational exposures, meaning many affected individuals work in agriculture or construction, exposing them to heat stress and dehydration, which are linked to kidney damage, and rising rates of obesity, diabetes, and hypertension. Major risk factors for CKD are prevalent in Belize, fueled by changing dietary patterns and sedentary lifestyles. The Ministry of Sustainable Development, Climate Change, and Disaster Risk Management, in collaboration with the Forest Department, today officially marked the successful conclusion of the project titled Enhancing Jaguar Corridors and Strongholds Through Improved Management and Threat Reduction, which was launched in June 2021 through a formal third-party responsible agreement with the Corozal Sustainable Future Initiative and the Yacht Conservation Trust. This 4-year initiative aimed to strengthen jaguar conservation across 2 of Belize's critical biological corridors, including the northeastern and southern biological corridors, by addressing threats to jaguar populations, promoting coexistence between humans and wildlife, and supporting community-based conservation strategies. Since its implementation, this project, according to Minister of Sustainable Development Honorable Orlando Habet, has led to improved local engagement in conservation activities and laid the groundwork for sustainable coexistence-based solutions in the areas of frequent wildlife-human interactions.
This Jaguar project started off in 2021, now ending up in August 25. Very important because we were looking at how we can see what interactions there are with the jaguar and wildlife, the interactions between jaguars and humans, and looking at how we could track the jaguar from one corridor to the next. And we already know we have the northern, the northeastern, the central, the southern corridors, and see how these animals move within those corridors. Also looking at the equipment that would have to be used to be able to do the actual tracking, because it was important to use the best technology that is available, and we saw the implementation of these modern and very useful cameras, the use of telemetry, which would be able to pick up data from a distance and be able to report it back. So that was very important, and also to see how there would be this collaboration and partnership amongst the different players. So we had not only the Forest Department taking the leadership here, but also looking at how we collaborated with and had the partnership with CSFI and Shared Conservation Trust. And I think that in the end what the report showed us was that yes, when we have conservation, when we establish these corridors, we can have some protection of the wildlife, but also we can track their movement, where they go. And I have always been looking at one thing that we have maybe not addressed comprehensively, is that we have coyotes, which are extraneous to Belize. They come from the U.S. through Mexico, have been in Belize, they are all down south, and how possibly that affects the wildlife also, because how is it that they're spreading? If they also consume small cows or sheep in pastures, and why is it that the jaguars don't eat them instead as their food? But the dynamics are so that I think that we have learned a lot. The report was very comprehensive in all the the objectives, the deliverables. And I think that now what we have to do is, as I mentioned earlier, is to see the gaps that still remain and how we can now get funding for a second phase, which is going to be very important.
Within the project, Minister Habet outlined an important component which has to do with infrastructure development and being able to find a balance between conservation and expansion.
We have to plan ahead. Certainly when we get these large infrastructure projects, we don't maybe sit down with all the key players to see what will be the events that will affect or have some effect in later stages. When the coastal road was being constructed, we had to approach the contractors to see if those culverts that they were putting were large enough to allow wildlife to move from one end of the road to the other. And so we got together with some of the conservation agencies, the people from TNC and the other wildlife conservations, and MIDH also participated because they said, well, listen, we understand what's happening. We want to see them cross safely, but the project didn't entail to putting in these large culverts or additional bridges. So there was some type of arrangement that was made, a compromise, so that it wasn't as big as we wanted, but not as small as was planned. So I think planning is very, very important.
With the completion of the first phase of the project, Minister Habet says the goal is to seek funding and partnership for a second phase.
I think that it is very important that we continue the management. With CSFI, we have been working these last 4 years with them with the Jaguar project, but we also have different projects which we work with them also. They are one of the private conservation groups that seek funding elsewhere. And we also assist through small funding through PACT, not nearly enough for the type of work that they do. And so it isn't something that we want to see stop right here. They still have some of the equipment, they still have some of the cameras, they still have some of the collars. So it isn't prudent for the project to really stop to that end. And if they can continue doing some work on their own meanwhile, and then so that we sign that co-management agreement so that we can continue monitoring what is happening, at least in their area.
There is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
It is truly a proud and historic moment for us here in San Ignacio. It gives me great joy to welcome you all to the official opening of the very first wooden basketball court in our community.
The cost of the project in completion was about $200,000. Honorable Mala was willing to assist us with this project. This is a huge, huge investment for us.
There can be serious development through sports, especially if the right foundation, having the right facilities are in place. Then the programs follow. We can't put the carriage front of the house by having the programs, but we only have outdoor facilities. Belize rain 6 months out of the year, and having outdoor facilities is just not enough.
Our focus is going to be on education because that's a part of using sports as a vehicle to get as many of our athletes to international schools to play football, basketball, volleyball, track, whatever it is. The other thing is health. 33% of our people are afflicted by diabetes, hypertension, or some ailment like that. And those things can be prevented. So we want to create again the facilities where people can go exercise, have fun.
Electricity is evolving, and BEL is leading the way with smarter connections across Belize. Meet AMI, Advanced Metering Infrastructure. It's not just a meter, it's a smarter way to manage power.
Belize participated in the 56th Ordinary Meeting of the Council of Ministers of Finance of Central America, Panama, and the Dominican Republic, COSAFIN, held on July 31st, 2025 in Antigua, Guatemala. The delegation was led by Honorable Christopher Coy, Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance, and included Carlos Pol, CEO of the Ministry of Economic Transformation, H.E. Jose Alpuche, Belize's ambassador to the Republic of Guatemala, and Cinnamon Botaro, Belize's representative to the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, Board of Executive Directors. During the meeting, Belize reaffirmed its commitment to regional cooperation in fiscal policy, trade, and sustainable development. The delegation also held a bilateral meeting with Guatemala's Minister of Public Finance, Honorable Jonathan Mencos, to discuss key areas of collaboration, including security, tourism, energy, and trade. Belize's incorporation into COSAFIN was formally approved at the 55th regular meeting on December 16, 2024. The country first participated in the extraordinary virtual meeting on January 20, 2025. Belize's active involvement in COSAFIN marks a significant step towards strengthening regional ties and advancing economic integration with Central America. The government has issued a clear statement concerning recent online misinformation spread by what they describe as an unreliable resource. The online source published an article titled Chris vs. Cordell, a battle over land and values, which GOB says contained false and misleading claims about the government's land and tax policies. Contrary to the claims made in that article, the government confirms that on April 1, 2025, Cabinet officially approved the transfer of land tax collection and enforcement responsibilities from the Land and Surveys Department to the Belize Services Department, BTS. This decision was publicly communicated through Cabinet Brief PR number 38-25 on April 3, 2025. Which explained that the move aims to enhance land tax collection through a phased one-year transition process involving coordination among various agencies and the use of the online IRS platform for assessment, billing, and collection. This strategic shift aligns with the government's broader tax reform agenda to centralize and digitize tax administration, ultimately improving compliance, efficiency, and revenue collection. The approach is consistent with the international best practices that recommend consolidating tax functions within a single agency to optimize performance. Currently, the government collects approximately $7 million annually in land taxes, representing roughly a 15% compliance rate. This indicates that nearly $40 million in land taxes remain uncollected each year from landowners. It is anticipated that transferring collection responsibilities to BTS will significantly improve compliance rates, thereby generating vital funds to support the government's plan, Belize 2.0 initiative, focusing on education, healthcare, citizen security, and infrastructure development. The implementation of this transition will follow a structure-phased approach, beginning with interagency agreements and legal adjustments. The process includes data cleansing, matching landowner and property informative with the BTS IN registry, secure data migration to the IRS platform, and a subsequent system testing, stakeholder consultations, and public awareness campaigns. The government reaffirms its commitment to transparent, efficient, and fair tax administration and urges the public to disregard false reports and rely on official communications for accurate information. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Wednesday, August 6th, here on Ctv3 News and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at www.ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at CTV3 News BZ. From all of us here at CTV3, thank you for watching and listening, and have a splendid night.